My name is Silver. It is actually Monday, the 27th of June. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to those that may be listening for the first time. Glad you found me. Thank you to those returning listeners for all your feedback. And thank you to those that subscribed on the podcast on YouTube, left comments, or even liked the videos. I very much appreciate you. I have to tell you, it totally made my weekend when I saw that flurry of activity just spike. It was crazy. I loved it. I actually have also a special thank you for Chris Loves Wool of the In a Snit podcast for mentioning me in your latest episode. I posted on your forums that I appreciated the mention, but I don't think words could ever thank you enough for your advice and kind words, especially as I'm getting started with the podcast. Thank you especially for mentioning me with the first several minutes of your podcast. It blew my mind. I have to admit, I squeaked so loud when I heard that my cat Mario started yelling at me like I woke him up or something. Anyway, I just wanted to say, words really cannot say enough. I'm just this simple girl from Connecticut whose ideas seem to get a lot of eye rolls and often my ideas just get ignored. I'm pretty shy around those that don't know, so people kind of think that the ideas that come up with, they're pretty much those of a dreamer. This shyness, I'm going to tell you, is quite contradictory to what you would think, being as the socialness of my call center job. So putting myself out there like this is a pretty big deal. So thank you so much for your support and wonderful advice to everybody. Anyway, you did come by to hear me put myself down. You actually came by to admire the shininess of my knitting. So away we go. So I'm actually currently working on 6 different projects. The first one I'm going to mention is another pair of toe-up socks with a different socks by Wendy D. Johnson. I am using the Sunset Stripes by Patons Croy on size 2, which is a 2.75 millimeter needle. There's going to be 2 of them, and they are both 16-inch circulars. Every time from now on that you hear me say that I'm casting on a sock, I'm probably going to be using the 2 needle method as my basic. I'll get to the others somewhere down the road, but anyway, that's a whole nother entity. I basically just cast it on the toe so that I had something to work on. Here is a picture right here. And the second thing that I'm actually working on is a baby hoodie for one of my coworkers, Grandy's. Basically, I've doing this in different pieces. I finished the back minus the hood, and I am currently working just past the ribbing. I'm about 4, maybe 4.5 inches past the ribbing, and probably a couple inches left before I go and do little finicky bits. The pattern that I'm using is Baby Hoodie by Hannah Garcia. The yarn is Baja Beach, which is a Stitch Studio by Nicole Sunrise Base colorway. I'll be using size US 6, which is a 4.0 millimeter circular needles by Susan Bates. And I actually did buy these needles specifically just for this project. The picture that you're seeing now is the back portion of it, and the front that I'm working on now, that's just before the ribbing started. Okay, so the third thing I'm actually working on, I'm going to be calling the Milo number 2. It is actually 1/2 of the project page that I have Mary's matching Milos. I'm actually currently working on the 3-month size. I did get to the first cable pattern rotation. I'm actually doing the heart pattern, which you see here. I did choose the heart pattern because I do realize that girls tend to like hearts a lot more. The pattern that I'm actually currently working on is called Milo by Georgie Nicholson. It is out of the baby pink burnout softy yarn. It is size US 7, which is a 4.5 millimeter needle on a 16-inch cable. So the next thing I'm actually working on, I'm calling the Drunken Watermelon Shawl. I did do a little bit of it, not much, but a couple days worth of lunch knitting at work will do it for us. You can see the colorway on there. I absolutely love the colors. The pattern is called Yowza Weight Shawl by Susan B. Anderson. It is the yarn color Drunken Watermelon by Miss Babs Yowza. The needles that I'm currently using are US 9s, which is a 5.5 millimeter red lace needle from Chai Gu. Alright. The fifth project I'm actually working on is going to be the Mad as Progressive Hair shawl. I'm actually, as you can see, I'm on the first section of Eyelet Rose. The pattern, like I mentioned before in previous episodes, is the Progression Shawl by Karen of Round the Twist with Karen. The yarn is actually called Mad Hatter by Miss Babs Yowza. It's being knit on US 7, which is a 4.5 circular needle. It's actually a pretty old pair of needles that I've had for quite a while, and they are well loved. Let's just put it that way. The last project that I currently have on my needles that I'm going to mention is the Blurred Line Socks, which is a pattern called Blurred Lines by Megan Williams. The yarn I'm using is called, I guess that's why they call it the blues. It's a lollipop yarn, beefcake base sock yarn. Also doing those on my usual sock method. I just did one stripe, so I don't really have a good picture that just shows off the one stripe this week, so you're just going to have to take my word about that. Sorry about that. Alright, good news is that with Stash Dash now, my yardage went up. I am now up to 4,564 yards, which is approximately 4,173 meters. Oi, conversion. Anyway, I did finish objects, so that's why that number went up. You ready? I have finally finished the rainbow socks. Just to remind you, they are the Toe-Up Socks of the Difference by Wendy D. Johnson in the lollipop yarn again, as well as the beefcake base. It's the colorway Raise the Roof. And yes, let's raise the roof, everyone, for that wonderful rainbow. The second thing I actually finished was what I was calling the My BFF, with a less than 3, of course. That was also the Progression Shawl. It's also a Yowza Skein by Miss Babs, the BFF colorway. This one I actually made for a friend at work by the name of Rachel. She had been going through some hard times, so I just wanted to give her a little bit of something to think about, to love. And let me tell you, she has already received it and has worn it around our call center, I think, every minute of the 4 hours she was working that day. So I love hits like that. And what you may ask, I have one more thing that I have finished. I actually have a half-finished object. A sock. Yay! But I can't count that yardage until I finish the second sock, but I just wanted to let you know the person that I'm going to be giving the socks to won one of the prizes for the Crazy Sock Day that we had back at work. So I wanted to get on that and make sure these get done. So yeah, I hope you like it as much as I do. You can see the different stripes. Alright, so as to things for needle adjacent, number one, I want to finish those hubby socks. Let me tell you, I've been putting it off for too long. They've been on the needle since last year. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. I want to get it done. He's not rushing me, but I still want to get them done. The second thing I want to do is I want to finish that second Milo for the elder sister of the other one that I'm working on. The third thing I am going to mention, specifically, I am going to be casting on for a Mystery Summer KAL with the Lucky Violet Color Company, which is actually slated to start it on Friday, July 15th. And the way that they describe their newest shawl design sounds pretty awesome. It's a garter stitch crescent shaped shawl. It sounds like it's going to be so pretty, but it is going to be a mystery, so I don't know exactly what the pattern is going to be. However, and here's the kicker and why I mention it, you can get the pattern for free on Ravelry until July 15th and join me if you wish. I will actually link you to the Ravelry store in our podcast notes just so you can take advantage. Remember, get your yarn orders in ASAP to make sure the yarn gets to you before the start of the KAL. They do recommend by the 24th, but as you're just learning about it, I thought I'd mention this specifically that you should probably get in there quick. They also recommended 2 hangs of their Betty, Wendy, or Kiki yarn. However, a 4-ply fingering will do if you are trying to shop your stash. Just make sure you have 800 to 840 yards for this project. I also ordered some yarn from their Betty base. It's going to be the Lumpy Space color. It has some lovely pinks and purples and blues, and I cannot wait to work with it. I am actually going to link you a picture of that directly only on our podcast notes, just so you know. Alright, so I do have a little bit of enabling this week. I did buy 4 skeins of yarn. One is the pink, the purple, and the white combo that I am working on the hoodie for. The second is the baby pink from Burnout Softy, and this one, like I said, was going on to the Milo. What you watching, Silver? Well, I have been catching up with season 4 and 5 of Downton Abbey, just starting season 6 hopefully later on tonight or tomorrow. I also watched This Is It, finally. I know, I'm a little behind the times and I do apologize about that. It's a pretty good movie and I enjoyed it. Also got to catch up on Gotham with the hubby, which was pretty awesome. We finally got through the season finale. Also watching The Dead Files. That too was pretty awesome. And I do recommend watching those series that I mentioned. It is up to you. I'm more of a paranormal kind of girl, so if that's not your style, then don't worry about that. So, what you reading, Silver? Well, I have officially read 63 of 80 on my challenge on Goodreads. I'm making that a mention because it's actually a big deal. I finished reading 4 books this week. Count them. 4. One was called It Itches by Franklin Habit, who is a wonderful cartoonist, and he's also a knitter. So he does understand problems, the issues that we have with our projects, which is awesome. He has a wonderful take. I do recommend that book. I also finished Wolves of Kala, which is the Dark Tower series number 5 by Stephen King. Holy Hannah, wonderful. I always seem to find more and more that I love. Absolutely love about listening to his books. I do recommend it if you have the time. Trust me, it is a good one. Let's see. I did read 2 books from the Anita Blake series this week by Laurel K. Hamilton. Number 22 and number 23. 22 was Affliction and number 23 was Jason. I do recommend reading them all in order, but it is extremely awesome if you don't mind. Trust me. There's a lot going on with the character of Anita, like I've mentioned before. And what I'm currently reading is the book number 24, which is the last one currently in the series. It's called Dead Ice. I'm also listening to Song of Susanna, which is number 6 in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. Also a new reader, so I'm still getting used to him. I'm only about 3 hours in. I'll let you know how that goes from there. But the story, I anticipate a wonderful story. The last thing I am actually currently reading is called Yarn Highlight, The Secret Life of a Knitter. It's by Stephanie Pearl McPhee, also known as the Yarn Harlot. She tells some wonderful, and I repeat, wonderful stories about projects gone wrong, or even places that she's found random skeins of yarn from her stash. Yeah, let's just put it this way. Piano, genius, and awesome all at the same time. The last section is called My Weekly Obsession. As part of my other bit of enabling, I did buy a 4+ month supply of coffee from San Marcos. I'm absolutely obsessed with the coffee flavors. And I think maybe I might convince my husband that he wants to switch from his usual Diet Mountain Dew to the coffee flavors as his primary caffeine source, but we'll see. Who knows? The other thing that I've become obsessed with recently is Animal Crossing City Folk. In fact, over the past few days, I've played probably a total of 12 hours. I don't know why I gave it up for 3 years, but now I'm just kind of obsessed with going through every Saturday and listening and playing through the songs that you get. As you see in the picture, little guy in the corner there, that's KK. And basically the whole time that the songs are playing is a good time for yours truly to go through at least a couple rows on a sock I was working on. So I figured you would find that level of geekiness pretty freaking awesome. Alright, and as always, you can find me on my Ravelry board. If you do a search for Silver's Dreamland podcast, you will find it very quickly. I am SilverLuna2112 there on Ravelry. On Instagram, I am both Silver's Treats and Silver's Dreamland. Twitter, I am at Silver's Knitting. I do tend to read through all messages as soon as I possibly can. If you don't hear from me within 24 hours, please feel free to email me directly at silversdreamland@gmail.com. Now, I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from The Wizard of Oz. You ready for it? "You had the power all along, my dear." So says the wonderful Glinda the Good Witch. No matter how small or powerless you feel, you have the power to change the way you feel about life's greatest challenges. Until next week, bye everyone.
The boy he wanders, trying to find his way. Just what he's looking for, he finds it hard to say. In the journey of his life, he meets a girl about his age. He decides to start a courtship. At first he thinks it's strange, but he finds acceptance, beauty, kindness, and love. As the boy gets closer and nearer to the girl, she brings him happiness and she becomes his world. He realizes she brings a peace he's never known. The two become one being to win their caution's throne, and they find acceptance, beauty, kindness, love.